Continuing on in the show, it is time for story time on Kansas Sports Chatters. You're bringing in Scott Paske, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered. Hey, Scott, appreciate again coming on the show. For you, I know you're already dialed in and getting ready for that Christmas break. But go back to football season. Mark Sandbo, head coach of Salina Central. Great story with him. Your title, Salina Central Sandbo, follows late father's coaching footsteps to state title. People can check out that story at KSHSAACovered.com. Like, what were you able to find out with that? Because he's in kind of an elite company now.
Yeah, that became the third son to join his father as a state championship high school football coach in Kansas. Of course, in Nemaha Central with Michael Glatzik and his dad Larry. Michael had done it a few years ago. He won his third title with Nemaha Central. But yeah, Mark at Salina Central wins his first state title and joins his dad Gary, who led Smoky Valley to the 3A championship back in 1988. So that is elite company. And the other family that's done that is the Bartas, Roger, who unfortunately passed away and left us in June, and his son Brooks at Holton, Roger at Smith Center. They were the first ones to become the father-son combo to do it. But yeah, Mark joins Gary as a father-son state championship combo, and KSHSAA Covered selected Mark as our coach of the year for the state, and I thought very well deserved, and some of that had to do maybe with that connection a little bit to Gary as well.
Well, I mean, you talking with him, Mark, and just like how his childhood of, growing up and being on the sideline. I mean, I love how you brought up, he skipped out on some piano lessons from time to time to just,
Right.
Go hang out with the boys and playing football. It just seemed like it was in his blood.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, his brother Matt's a offensive coach at McPherson High School too. So the two of the three sons are in the coaching business right now, and not a surprise. I'm old enough, and I talk about this played back in the leather helmet days, and I remember Gary. I got to meet Gary. Went to a Bethany football camp when I was trying to learn to play a little bit of quarterback, and back when I was 12, 13 years old, and Gary was just a real good guy. Made football fun. I remember that. It's been 4 decades since I had that experience, but he was offensive coordinator on Ted Kessinger's staff at Bethany, and those guys, of course, they won like crazy there. And then Gary eventually got into the high school ranks at Smoky Valley, where Mark played for him. But yeah, so Mark grew up on the sidelines, ball boy, the guy getting the kicking tee, that kind of thing, but Mark kind of took note of his dad's style, I think, as he was growing up. And I think the thing he pointed out in that story is that I never really remember my dad yelling at an official. And I think Mark's just got that good guy. He's kind of got that good guy DNA from Gary, and I think just from talking to some of his players for that story as well, just a real joy to play for, and I think he's done a great job in his 8 years at Salina Central, and it finally hit the pinnacle here in 5A.
Yeah, well deserving on your guys' honor with the KSHSAA Covered Coach of the Year with Mark Sandbo. But anytime, you have other classifications and other coaches win state championships, there's obviously some other good candidates. Who are some of the others that stood out as far as coaching from football this past fall?
Yeah, if you just look at the state championship coaches, I think this year, you can start at 6A with Joe Schartz in Manhattan, and of course he'd won a title before. But I think what I really appreciate about Joe this year is I think they hit a midseason stretch where things were not going real well. They had a game against Junction City where they turned it over a lot. I saw their game against Wichita Northwest. They got beat 40-13. The guys in street clothes that night for Manhattan would have made a pretty good football team. J.J. Dunnigan was one of them. They had several injuries at that point, and it was one of those where they really got taken to the woodshed by Wichita Northwest, and you just didn't really see maybe a 6A championship coming out of that group, but Coach Schartz did a real nice job putting things back on the tracks. And then you go down to 4A with Cape and Mount Carmel. Weston Schartz, longtime coach here in the Wichita City League, finally gets his first state title. And I think what really stood out there is just the way Cape dominated that 4A championship run. Their November, they were untouchable. That was a really fabulous run. You see dominant runs in other classes. You don't see a lot of domination in the 4A, 5A, 6A level necessarily, and they just ran roughshod on 4A. So that not only does Coach Sharts get that long-time championship that I know was really popular with a lot of his former players at different places, but to do it the way they did was just outstanding. And then, you go to Andale, and then Dylan Schmidt, 110-4 now in his tenure at the Andale. That kind of speaks for itself, but Andale's really got it rolling. But yeah, so there were, Coach Sandbo had good company in that chase for a Coach of the Year. And I'd go down to Sterling in 1A with Brent Snyder, an alumnus of Sterling, who gets Sterling its first championship in 43 years. And then Michael Glatzik, as we mentioned, multiple state champion at Nemaha Central. A lot of good jobs done there. But we just really thought Coach Sandbo did kind of an exceptional job this year with Salina Central.
Well, heading into the holidays, Scott, what can we kind of expect from KSHSAA Covered?
Yeah, up on our site here in the last week or so, we've got our all-state teams for all classes and profiles of our top 11, which Coach Sandbo, our Coach of the Year, of course, and then two of his players, Cooper Reeves and Caden Snyder, were on that top 11 group. So those will be up there. We'll have a lot of all-league, all-state teams. We've got our previews for a lot of the winter sports now, our basketball players to watch, wrestlers to watch. All those seasons are in full stride now because the overlap is really small. But we'll kind of, I don't want to say coast into Christmas here because this week there's still a lot of winter sports left. But we'll kind of take a little break at Christmas, and then once January hits, we'll be hitting the ground running.
Hey, thanks again for your time, and enjoy your Christmas.
Same to you, Cole. Thanks very much.
That is Scott Paske, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered, and that'll do it for Storytime.